The Elephant Island Chronicles presents Chicken Milk by Conrad Hannon, narration by Amazon Polly. Chapter 1. The city at night was a tapestry of light and shadow, each street telling its own story. Matthew navigated this maze with the ease of one who had long since made peace with its contradictions. The glaring neon signs, the murmurs of nightlife, and the eclectic mix of old and new were a backdrop to his thoughts and a constant reminder of the world's ceaseless chatter. As he walked, Matthew's mind wandered back to his childhood, to the small, quiet town where he grew up. Those days seemed like a different life, a stark contrast to the relentless pace of the city. He remembered his first encounter with a computer, the fascination that had sparked his journey into journalism. He had always been driven to understand and dissect the world's narratives. Entering the cafe, a haven of nostalgia amid the city's frenzy, Matthew reflected on the irony of it all. Here he was, about to write another piece on the absurdity of modern life, yet he couldn't help but feel a part of the very fabric he critiqued. A waitress interrupted his thoughts, her smile a blend of warmth and weariness. "The usual, Matthew?" she asked, already pouring his coffee. He nodded, his gaze returning to his notebook. The page was open to his latest article, a draft filled with his characteristic mix of sarcasm and insight. His phone vibrated as he began to write, indicating he had a new email. "Chicken milk?" he read aloud, his voice tinged with amusement and curiosity. The invitation promised a journey into the heart of this new trend. It was precisely the kind of story he relished, a dive into the absurd, a chance to peel back the layers of society's latest obsession. With a smirk, Matthew thought of the potential this story held. It wasn't just about debunking another fad. It was about exploring the human condition, the endless quest for meaning in a world that often seemed bereft of it. He finished his coffee, the bitterness a perfect complement to his mood, and made a decision. He would attend this chicken milk event armed with his pen and his ever-present skepticism, ready to uncover what lay beneath the surface. Chapter 2. Later that evening, back in his modest apartment, a place cluttered with relics of his journalistic endeavors, Matthew sat at his desk, the glow of his laptop casting a pale light in the dim room. The walls, lined with bookshelves overflowing with literature and old newspapers, told the story of a life devoted to uncovering truths, no matter how obscure. As he opened the email again, a sense of anticipation mingled with his usual skepticism. The message was adorned with an elaborate logo, a stylized chicken encircling a milk bottle, an image both absurd and intriguing. The email spoke of a revolutionary breakthrough, a product that promised not just health benefits but a complete transformation of the mind and body. Matthew leaned back in his chair, his eyes scanning the hyperbolic language of the email. "Join us for an exclusive unveiling," it read, "and be among the first to experience the wonders of chicken milk." He chuckled, imagining the kind of people drawn to such an event. Yet something about the email piqued his curiosity. It wasn't just the outlandish claim of the product, it was the underlying narrative, the story that begged to be told. Whether a groundbreaking discovery or another footnote in the annals of pseudoscience, this chicken milk was a window into the human psyche, reflecting society's endless search for miracles. Matthew replied to the email with a mix of amusement and a journalist's inherent curiosity. He crafted his response with care, ensuring it conveyed just enough interest to secure an invitation. As he hit send, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was stepping into something far more intriguing than just another exposé. The following day saw him diving into preliminary research. He scoured the internet for mentions of chicken milk, finding little more than vague references and hushed rumors. It was as if the product had emerged from nowhere, a phantom in the vast digital landscape. When the invitation finally arrived, it was as enigmatic as the email. A sleek, black card embossed with the same stylized logo, providing only an address and a time, no further details, no hint of what to expect. Matthew pocketed the card, a sense of intrigue growing within him. This wasn't just another assignment, it was a puzzle, and he was determined to piece it together. That night, as Matthew lay in bed, the city's distant noises drifting through his open window, he found himself oddly restless. The chicken milk event loomed in his mind, a mystery shrouded in absurdity. He realized he was genuinely curious about what he would find. With that thought, he drifted into a restless sleep. Chapter 3. The night of the event, Matthew found himself standing outside an imposing warehouse, far from the usual hustle and bustle of the city. The building, a remnant of an industrial past, loomed large against the starless night sky. Graffiti adorned its walls, a testament to the area's forgotten stories. As he stepped inside, the transformation was immediate. The stark exterior gave way to an interior that buzzed with an almost palpable energy. Lights in soft hues bathed the space, casting an otherworldly glow on the assembled crowd. The air was alive with the murmur of conversations, the scent of exotic spices mingling with the subtle undertone of anticipation. Matthew moved through the crowd, his journalist's eye observing the myriad of attendees. They were diverse, from wide-eyed youth seeking the next big thing to seasoned seekers of alternative lifestyles. Each face told a story of longing, of a search for something more than the ordinary. Two individuals caught Matthew's attention among the crowd. The first was Nathan, a young man whose posture screamed discomfort. His eyes were glued to his phone, a lifeline in a sea of unfamiliar faces. Every so often he would glance up, his gaze skimming the crowd before returning to the digital safety of his screen. Approaching Nathan, Matthew struck up a conversation. "Quite the turnout, isn't it?" he said, his tone casual but observant. Nathan looked up, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. "Yeah, it's overwhelming," he replied, his voice a mix of curiosity and unease. Their exchange was brief, but Matthew could sense the layers beneath Nathan's tech-dependent facade. Next, Matthew noticed Sasha, a woman whose presence seemed to command attention. She was engaged in animated conversation, her laughter ringing out, yet her demeanor had a rehearsed quality. It was as though she were performing for an unseen audience, her every gesture calculated for effect. "Enjoying the spectacle?" Matthew asked as he approached her. Sasha turned, her smile fixed, and her eyes revealed a hint of genuine intrigue. "It's certainly different," she responded, her tone suggesting a depth beyond her persona. As the evening progressed, the warehouse transformed from a mere venue into a stage for the unexpected. A charismatic figure took the spotlight, Dr. Elara Voss, the architect of chicken milk. Her speech blended persuasive rhetoric and grand promises, captivating the audience with visions of transformation and enlightenment. Matthew felt a tug of skepticism in the multitude of captivated faces, yet he couldn't deny the allure of the spectacle. There was something about the event, a certain magnetism that drew people in, promising answers to unspoken questions. She spoke of a pending retreat and indicated all attendees would immediately receive an invite. Just then, Matthew's phone vibrated. She listened to Dr. Voss's words, and the invitation to the extended 2-day retreat appeared in his inbox. Matthew's notebook filled with observations and snippets of overheard conversations as the night wore on. The chicken milk gathering was more than just a curiosity. It was a microcosm of human hope and vulnerability, a story that begged to be unraveled. As he left the warehouse, the cool night air contrasted sharply with the warmth inside. Matthew knew this was only the beginning. The mystery of chicken milk, with its blend of absurdity and earnestness, was a puzzle he was now fully invested in solving. Chapter 4. The retreat, nestled in a serene wooded area, starkly contrasted the urban landscape Matthew had left behind. The air was crisp and fresh, filled with the sounds of nature, a soothing balm to the relentless noise of the city. At the center was an elegant structure blending modern design with natural elements, creating a luxurious and grounded space. As the participants gathered, Matthew observed the subtle shift in dynamics. Away from the city's distractions, the attendees seemed more introspective, their facades slowly dissolving in the tranquility of their surroundings. The attendees were required to surrender their digital devices upon entry to the retreat. They were assured they would be returned at the end of the retreat. They were all handed a small chicken milk bottle and instructed to drink it. As disconcerting as this was for Matthew and many others, they all did as asked, having already invested in the retreat. Matthew observed Nathan, now freed from the constant buzz of technology, appeared visibly unsettled. The absence of digital noise left him exposed, his usual distractions stripped away. During a session on digital detoxification, he sat restlessly, his fingers tapping an absent rhythm. Yet, as the day progressed, Matthew noticed a change. Nathan's gaze became more focused, and his interactions became more engaged. It was a hesitant step towards embracing the present, a glimpse of a life beyond the screen. Sasha's transformation was equally compelling. In a group therapy session, she shared her experiences as an influencer, her voice wavering between confidence and vulnerability. It was a raw, unfiltered look into the dissonance between her public persona and her private self. As she spoke, Matthew could see the layers of her constructed identity peeling away, revealing the complexity of her true self. Throughout these sessions, Matthew participated with a mix of detachment and curiosity. His notes were filled with observations about the various activities and the subtle undercurrents of change among the attendees. The chicken milk philosophy was a backdrop to the human stories unfolding before him. At the end of the evening, as the sun set over the grounds, casting a golden glow on the landscape, Matthew conversed with Nathan and Sasha. They spoke of their reasons for attending, hopes, and apprehensions. Nathan confessed his fear of losing himself in the digital world. At the same time, Sasha expressed her longing for authenticity in a life dominated by appearances. The activities, a mix of meditation, group discussions, and bizarre rituals, were a catalyst for introspection and transformation. Nathan found solace in the quiet moments, his dependence on technology waning as he rediscovered simpler pleasures. Often lost in thought, Sasha seemed to grapple with her identity, each day bringing her closer to a sense of self-acceptance. As the retreat continued, Matthew realized that his initial skepticism had led to a greater understanding. Chicken milk reflected the participants' journeys toward self-discovery. The narrative transcended its premise, revealing the innate human desire for connection and authenticity. Chapter 5. Each activity proved more peculiar than the last. The attendees engaged in an embracing your inner chicken session in the morning, a bizarre mix of animal mimicry and mindfulness. Matthew watched, a bemused expression on his face, as grown adults clucked and strutted around the room. Yet beneath the absurdity was a sense of liberation, a breaking free from the constraints of normalcy. In another activity, milking the mind, participants sat in a circle, each holding a small chicken-shaped stress ball. They were instructed to squeeze the ball whenever they felt a negative thought, a physical manifestation of releasing mental burdens. Matthew participated, his grip on the chicken ball light, his eyes observing the earnestness of the others. Nathan's transformation during these activities was striking. In the digital detox session, he initially struggled, his withdrawal from technology almost palpable. However, he now immersed himself in the activities, shifting from reluctance to cautious enthusiasm. The session that seemed to impact him the most was Reconnecting with Reality, where attendees were encouraged to engage in deep, meaningful conversations without digital distractions. Nathan emerged from these discussions with a newfound appreciation for face-to-face interactions, a stark contrast to his previous digital-dominated existence. Sasha's journey was equally profound. The Mirror of Truth session, where participants confronted their reflections and spoke candidly about their self-perceptions, was a turning point for her. As Sasha faced her own image, the layers of her influencer persona peeled away, revealing her vulnerabilities and insecurities. Matthew noted a moment of raw honesty with a respectful distance, recognizing the courage it took to face one's true self. The retreat's culmination was a grand banquet celebrating the attendees' journey. The hall was decorated with an eclectic mix of rustic charm and modern elegance, a fitting setting for the diverse participants. Nathan, Sasha, and the others gathered around tables adorned with candles and wildflowers, the atmosphere of camaraderie and reflection. During the banquet, Nathan shared his experience with the group, his voice steady and confident. He spoke of his struggle with the digital world and his newfound appreciation for real connections. Sasha, too, took the stage. Her words were a mix of vulnerability and strength. She talked about the facade of her online life and her desire to live more authentically. Matthew, witnessing these transformations, felt a mixture of skepticism and admiration. The retreat had inadvertently facilitated genuine growth. He scribbled notes, capturing the essence of the speeches, the emotions in the room palpable and poignant. The retreat attendees celebrated their journey as the night wore on, sharing stories and laughter. Matthew, amidst the joy and revelations, realized the complexity of the chicken milk experiment. It was a mirror reflecting the attendees' deepest desires and fears. It was a story that blurred the lines between absurdity and authenticity, a narrative rich with human experience. Chapter 6. The climax was orchestrated with a theatrical flair, the grand banquet serving as the stage for the final act. Dr. Elara Voss, the enigmatic creator of chicken milk, took center stage. Her presence was magnetic, her voice a siren's call as she began to unveil the true nature of chicken milk. Tonight, she announced, we celebrate not just a product but a movement, a journey towards self-discovery and enlightenment. The attendees, including Nathan and Sasha, listened with rapt attention, hanging on every word. But the atmosphere shifted palpably when Dr. Voss revealed the startling truth. Chicken milk was not a miraculous elixir but a placebo, a tool designed to test the power of belief and the mind's capacity to manifest change. The revelation sent shockwaves through the crowd. Murmurs turned into heated discussions as the attendees grappled with the reality of the social experiment. Some felt betrayed, others were introspective, questioning the authenticity of their experiences. Amidst the turmoil, Nathan stood up, his voice cutting through the chaos. Maybe it was a placebo, he admitted, but the changes I experienced were real. He spoke of his struggle with digital addiction and how the retreat helped him rediscover the value of real-world connections. Sasha, too, rose to speak. Her usual influencer polish was replaced by raw, unfiltered honesty. I've been living a lie, she confessed. But this experiment, as crazy as it was, showed me the truth about myself. It helped me find my genuine voice. Watching the unfolding drama, Matthew felt a mix of admiration and cynicism. His pen moved furiously across his notebook, capturing the moment. Though deception-based, the chicken milk experiment led to genuine self-reflection and transformation. As the banquet drew close, the attendees were left to ponder the experiment's implications. Nathan, Sasha, and others began to understand the power of their beliefs and the potential for change, regardless of the experiment's true nature. For Matthew, the revelation of chicken milk as a placebo was the twist he hadn't anticipated. It was a commentary on the human condition, the search for meaning, and the power of belief. He left the banquet with a richer and more complex story than imagined, a narrative that blurred the lines between reality and perception. Chapter 7. In the days following the retreat, the city's rhythm engulfed Nathan, Sasha, and Matthew, each absorbed in their own reflections of the experience. The revelation about chicken milk, a mere placebo, lingered in their minds, a puzzle with pieces still missing. Once tethered to the digital world, Nathan found himself at a crossroads. His experience at the retreat had opened new perspectives, yet the allure of his online life remained strong. He wandered the city, the glow of screens around him both familiar and alien, his future a path yet to be chosen. Sasha faced her own dilemma. The retreat had unveiled the person beneath the influencer, but the reality of living this new truth in the unforgiving glare of social media was daunting. Her posts became sporadic, each a tentative step towards authenticity, her journey a work in progress. Matthew's story of chicken milk was incomplete. His article, poised to reveal the intricacies of the experiment, remained a draft. He found himself hesitating, questioning the impact of his words. The retreat challenged his worldview, leaving him to ponder the fine line between reality and perception. Thus, the legacy of chicken milk remained ambiguous. For some, it was a transformative experience. For others, it was a well-orchestrated farce. Once united in their search for enlightenment, the attendees dispersed into the city, each carrying their own interpretations and unresolved questions. Ultimately, the true essence of chicken milk was as elusive as the quest for meaning it represented. It was a story that defied neat conclusions, a narrative echoing the complexities of belief, change, and the human desire to find something more. Matthew, Nathan, and Sasha, each in their own way, continued to navigate the aftermath of the retreat, their paths divergent yet forever marked by their experience. The story of chicken milk, a blend of reality and illusion, remained a part of them, an unresolved melody in the symphony of their lives. The end. From all of us here at the Elephant Island Chronicles, we hope you have enjoyed this original short story by Conrad Hannon. Have a great day and stay curious.